in the time I was arguing with you. All right, Awesemo, here we go. It's your old pal Emac wearing my Sunday Fun Day shirt, just so you can see it. The Sunday Fun Day shirt comes out every now and then, and it came out today because it's week 17. Weird stuff happens. I usually wear this on opening weekend, and then one other time I remember I have it, and there we are. But yeah, we've had a wild and wacky day capped off here. We saw Justin Jefferson get to 1,400 receiving yards. We saw Derrick Henry, who I think their game is still going on. He is crested over 2,000 yards. Currently, he has 33 carries for 246 yards, 2 touchdowns. You've got so that was pretty exciting. We saw Tom Brady throw for nearly 400 yards. And what was the other excitement? The Bills played a half, beat the hell out of Miami, and then played another half, and the other half of the team beat the hell out of Miami. That was like, how do you lose that much in an NFL game when you're on the cusp of being a playoff team? You have a ball control offense, your play call conservative, and your defense is adequate, and you've got the number 1 interception guy in the league.
And you faced backups for the other half of the game. That is the most important part, is all of those things are true, and they also faced backups. And they, like, even the starters they faced, like, I don't think they faced off against like Cole Beasley. They just, like, we saw them get pulled. The rest of the starters pretty early. John Brown was coming back after missing 4, I believe, weeks. So this wasn't even the best version of the Bills starters. And then they only played a half, or maybe even less. I don't know. No, that was easily like the most embarrassing game of the slate. We also just had some crazy shootouts. Like, this game might or might not be over, as you said. But
Houston just kicked a field goal. There's a minute 42 left.
Did that tie them up?
No, they're still down, but it's making them nervous, I'm sure. All right.
Yeah, I mean, 72 points in that game.
That is a crazy number. That is just a crazy number. But we've got a whole bunch of stuff going on here. We're going to let some people collect, as we tend to get a lot more people when these games aren't rolling over our start time as well. But we'll be talking about this. We'll be talking about the game tonight and some fun sponsors and some fun promotions that we have going on here. So first one we want to hit on, we want to remind everybody, thank you for coming in and watching us. If you want to hit that like button, we would appreciate it. You want to hit the subscribe button, that would help us as well. We're looking to get to 50,000 by the Super Bowl. We're cresting over 45,000 right now, which is pretty good. And thank you for you guys liking and supporting and subscribing and all that good stuff, even active in chat. That helps us in the YouTube algorithm, and we get new viewers that way. So very helpful to us, and that helps us put this stuff out for free. A reminder, everything that's not alive before lock is also out on the Awesemo Podcast Network. So any podcasting platform you can think of, we have a feed going out there. We have the main Awesemo channel that has all of our podcasts. And then we've broken down several of the sub-sports. If you only want to pick 1 or 2, or just find the pertinent ones there, that's kind of helpful as well. Let's see. The last key thing tonight, we are sponsored by No House Advantage. So we'll talk about them in a moment here. And then finally, we've got a pinned tweet. I'm going to drop the link here in chat. This is how you guys can get 2 lucky winners, I believe, can get a free month of Awesemo Platinum. So what I'm going to do is I'll put that into the little YouTube chat there and go and follow the instructions on the tweet. Basically, you have to choose who's going to throw more passing yards tonight, Jalen Hurts or Alex Smith. And then if you get that correct, you'll be put in a drawing and 2 people will win the contest. All right, on to the inactives. Here's some important stuff here. So for Philadelphia, they're sitting out a few defensive players. We got Derek Barnett, Fletcher Cox, Michael Jackets. Let's see, that's it for them. But then no Dallas Goedert, the tight end, no Richard Rodgers, because he's in the COVID protocol, no Carson Wentz. Nate Sudfeld is active. We'll talk about that because rumors are going around that we may not see Jalen Hurts after the first half. So We'll see. We'll talk about that more in depth, but as you're building out your lineups, I want to let you know that. No Alshon Jeffrey, no Deshaun Jackson. So no revenge. Deshaun Jackson came in, played his 20 snaps, got his one catch, scored a touchdown on it, and then, he's done for the rest of the year. Now, here's the interesting stuff for the Washington football team. So we've been wondering what's going to happen with Antonio Gibson, what is going to happen with Terry McLaurin. So I thought Terry McLaurin, is he just going to be a decoy? What's happening? Well, this is a kitchen sink game. They're going to throw everything at it because they can actually make the playoffs. That'd be huge for Ron Rivera in his first year. It'd be huge for the franchise that is just from the top down, a rotting corpse, and they need to get rid of their leadership. I live out here in the DC area. It's a mess. They're monsters, but there we are on that. But it would be good for the players in the franchise. So no Antonio Gandy Golden and no Robert Foster. What this means is that's less active receivers. So the theory would be that they think McLaurin is going to be pretty good to go. He can re-aggravate anything. We don't know for sure. He could still be a decoy, but this is an advantageous thing for us. And then a couple other linebackers are out, so nothing there on that one. But I want to say JJ Marsh gave us a $20 super chat, said we're amazing. Why, thank you. You guys are the amazing ones. We do this for you. It's a labor of love. We appreciate all of this. All right, let's get into the analysis because that gives us a little clarity. We think now we're into risk reward. So we know that all of the key Washington players are active. That's helpful. We know it's Alex Smith who's going to be starting. The backup quarterback that they have actually is Taylor Heineke, I think his name is.
Yeah.
It's from Old Dominion University here in Norfolk, Virginia. And then he was bounced around for, I think he was on 6 different NFL rosters. He actually started or appeared in half a dozen games, started in 2018 for Coach Ron Rivera. He's the backup. He was last seen with the St. Louis Battlehawks in the XFL, and he went back to Old Dominion and is working on getting his applied mathematics degree or mechanical engineering degree. He's taking some advanced level math courses. They called him up and said, hey, we want you to be the quarantine quarterback. This was in December. And lo and behold, he is now the backup. They released Haskins. I don't think they would have released Haskins if they didn't think that Alex Smith was going to be able to play today and be mostly a full go. That would just be kind of crazy when the playoffs are on the line for a team that just is a disaster in and of itself. So I feel comfortable with Alex Smith, knowing all of this and these many moving parts. We get to the running backs, Antonio Gibson. I'm a little concerned with him. It's a toe injury. I'm sure he got a little help in the form of a needle on his toe, but who knows what's going to happen there. How do you want to approach this? Because we have Alex Smith, who's not going to be running, and he doesn't throw the ball deep.
Yeah, I think it really depends on like how much you are willing to build your like lineups based on the spread, because now we have this Washington team is favored by like around about a field goal, depending on where you look. And it's a low total, which means that there's not going to be a lot of scoring. You're probably looking at a game where you can viably get a lot of the scoring coming from reception value, from just the yardage, not necessarily touchdowns. I think that's a decent environment, especially with the uncertainty around Jalen Hurts, to go to very Washington-centric teams, even though I think there's probably an argument to be made that maybe someone like McKissick, he can eat up 10 plays and only go for, 60 yards and still score. What would that be? If he caught all 10 passes, that would be 16 fantasy points, because he just has an ability to rack up fantasy points without actually adding a ton of value. I mean, 60 yards is useful. It's just not incredibly useful on 10 plays. So maybe, sure, that type of player who just eats up play volume without helping anyone else, maybe they're negatively correlated to the ceilings of the rest of their players, just because those are all plays that are getting chewed up and not long Terry McLaurin touchdowns. Outside of that, I do think because of the way the spread is going and the low implied team total plus the uncertainty of Jalen Hurts, it's very viable to just be jamming in a lot of Washington-centric lineups. And not only do I think just like mathematically it could happen that way, but we generally don't see, I think, the requisite ownership that they deserve on just these like obvious favorite team stacks, like 5-1s, even 4-2s to an extent. But I do think like in a situation like this, it's very viable. Just go 5-1 and say, this is a type of lineup that the field isn't going to get to at the rate that my lineups are going to get to. So I have a lot of Washington overall. I think that kind of makes sense in the context of, as long as you're not playing like maybe Logan Thomas, JD McKissick is a little suspect because neither of them score touchdowns. They're probably not getting there, at least both of them, because they would both need like 10 catch games. outside of that, I think they all kind of correlate well just as pieces of the same offense. If Washington goes out and it looks like they should pretty cleanly beat Philadelphia, that's probably the end of that. And you have a Washington 5-1 stack.
All right, so I wanted to say it's the and I was only partially listening. My apologies. It's a 6.5 point spread. I think you were saying that the over under went down by about 3 points in all of this.
Or I might just not have updated my lines yet.
Yes. So I know people are out there, but I'm going to show you something really cool. This is the Awesemo Odd Shopper right now. So I'm dropped the link in here, but you get a full dashboard of every game. You can see where the money line's coming in. You can see where it's moving for the spreads. You can see where the sharps are coming down, percentage chance of win, how they've, all those useful things, last 10 games against the spread, last 10 games against the, stuff that is like completely pointless to look at, but it's all there because that's part of the betting package. But this is a free service for you guys right now. So you want to check that out. And it's a lot of fun. So that's Awesemo Odd Shopper. And we'll talk a little bit about that if we have time. All right. So yes, to the running backs here, I feel rules. People are asking, what are your rules? So Alex Smith, I said, I boosted all of his pass catchers. I said, you must play one. We'll talk about Corey Clement. We'll talk about Boston Scott. There's some kind of mispricings here and there because some of the key players are out. You've got Zach Ertz. So salary is really not an issue at all in this. So the question becomes, how can you capture production? So for the running backs, I said, if either is captain, I didn't say don't play the other one. I said, cut the other one's projection by 30%. So if they still come into the same lineup, that's fine because I have a randomness setting on it. I'm okay with that. But ideally, if one of them is the captain, they need the whole game. They get the whole kit and caboodle, and that's more what I'm looking at. I don't mind playing them both together in the flex at all. Everything's going to be concentrated with them. I've taken down a Barber, so he's really not going to come into anything at this point. So that's fine by me. For the receivers, so I was really high on McKissick as a pass catcher, but now we have McLaurin active. So now I got to think about that a little more. Now I got to think about perhaps Jalen Hurts not being in the whole game. Maybe this turns into a more controlled game where in the second half, maybe if Washington is lucky, they can just run the ball a bunch of times. And maybe that's where you get Barber getting some action. They'll pull Gibson at that point would be my guess. They'll pull McLaurin at that point. So that's what you kind of want to script for, or in your mind, think of how could this game progress and how can I build around that? And then the last thing I want to say is the Logan Thomas, their tight end. Holy cow. He has just been 27 targets in the last 2 games. Now, yes, one of those was without McLaurin, but he has put up monster target numbers. We know that Alex Smith is going to prefer to not go deep. Washington is not as sacked as Philadelphia is, but they are one of the more sacked teams. So he's going to be wanting to get the ball away as quick as possible. Who's usually the closest people to him? That's going to be McKissick and Logan Thomas. So that's sort of how I'm approaching the Washington build. I'm not afraid of anybody. I just get a little afraid of the dinged up guys if the second half is going well into Washington's favor. But hey, if one of them was the guy that got the 2 touchdowns in the first half that got him there, you're happy as a clam anyway. You're just trying to adjust the upside. So what else can we impart here on Washington? Oh, other than their defense looks good. Even better if it's going to be against Nate Sudfeld. Philadelphia has allowed the most sacks in the league with a variety of quarterbacks. They also have the most turnovers. And now, probably third most turnovers. While Jalen Hurts didn't get sacked in his opener, I think he was sacked 3 and 6 times the last 2 weeks. So that was Dallas and I think Tampa Bay. So I'm forgetting now. Sorry, but
Cardinals, right?
Cardinals. Yes, thank you. I think it was Dallas that got him for 6. How? Who knows? Because it's the NFL. So Washington's in play. They didn't get a price bump. They're 4,200. I think they're very much in play. And guess what? You don't have to worry about them being hurt or leaving the game early because
that is true.
They will still be out there from that one. So let's finish up Washington here. Any of your thoughts, kind of some strategy, and then we'll start talking about what we're looking at for Philadelphia and circle back for some of our other fun here.
Yeah, I don't think they're really the team in terms of player selection that's going to give us a ton of leverage. Steven Sims is going to be low owned. I'd have to check our ownership projection on Cam Sims. I doubt after a handful of decent games where he sees enough targets, at least people who are playing Showdown for the most part, are going to know who Cam Sims is. So I don't think there's anywhere to get really absurd with this team. I think the weirdest you can probably get is Steven or Cam Sims. The other side, I think, with the potential running back splits with going to ugly receivers is probably where you want to get unique. And there are good salaries on the other side. So like, I don't know, say for instance, you go with a Corey Clement, who's the minimum price. You've built a very unique and probably high leverage lineup, because I don't know if you're playing him with Boston Scott. You can just play the good plays on the other side of the ball. You can just play your McLaurins, your McKissicks, Gibsons, Smiths, etc. I do think my one note is that we've just seen such incredible volume this year. I know it doesn't really line up with how Alex Smith wants to play, but we've seen such incredible volume from Terry McLaurin. He's coming off the injury, even though I think Darius Slay was out 2 weeks ago. He's maybe still a little dinged up from that, mostly just a way for me to spin that I really want to play McLaurin. They're also without Nickel Roby-Coleman. I don't even know if these guys are good. Just like, I want to play McLaurin. It's really, I will find any way to convince myself to play McLaurin because his air yards are good. His volume is good. He's like top 5 in air yard share, top 10 in target share. He gets a defense that we've seen number 1 receivers beat pretty routinely. I'm going to go back to him at what I think will be fairly low ownership. I think the Hurts ownership will come down, but not everyone's like scrolling on Twitter looking for this news. Typically the favored quarterback has high ownership, then probably the favored running back. That means we could have McLaurin as the 4th or 5th highest owned captain on the slate. I'm always going for that, man. I think I'm always game to get these big deep shot receivers. I think we started the year, our first slate of the year was Darius Slayton. We both were super high on him, right? And
yeah, it was the video game input.
Yeah, man.
Because we'd watch him on those I'd watched him on those damn Madden Sims.
Let's run it back with NFC East deep threat one last time. I just think the big playability versus the ownership, especially because price doesn't matter. Like, I get he's expensive. It does not matter. We have so much value. Why am I not getting up to Terry McLaurin? And of course, like, I can make up other narratives about cornerbacks and stuff too, if that's really what you need, because I'm playing McLaurin.
All right, let's get some of my settings out of here because that's screwing something up. Oh, I see what it is. I changed computers and didn't import all of my Fantasy Cruncher settings, so I didn't have it set to calculate after each lineup. It was trying to run the numbers before or currently. It's a little setting in there where I want it to however many lineups I tell it what to do, gamers, I want it to do all of them and then apply the percentages to that. There's a setting that'll say each time at the end of it, go look at this and only do, X. So it's kind of a messy way of this. All right, so I want to talk about, let's get to my notes here. I want to talk about Philadelphia just a little bit. So again, the key takeaways for the Philadelphia injuries are no Deshaun Jackson, no Alshon Jeffrey, no Richard Rodgers, no Miles Sanders, no Carson Wentz. Nate Sudfeld is active. He is the backup quarterback. There has been several beat reporters, and even if you just search on Twitter for Nate Sudfeld, let's see what comes up recently here. So Philadelphia Eagles not dressing Wentz tonight. Backup Nate Sudfeld will be active. Most of the Eagles offensive line is on the injured list. We've seen a couple beat reporters. They're quoting Nate Sudfeld will be our quarterback in the second half. Here's another one. Nate Sudfeld could get extended action if there's a spot where it makes sense to pull Jalen Hurts. The Eagles.
What was the second half one, and who was that?
They're attributing in quotes to somebody else. They didn't cite it, but it's in the middle of somebody's conversation. I'm trying to pick out the ones that are actually
exactly. That's what I'm trying to parse
yes.
too, is because if we actually had strong reason to believe that he wouldn't play in the second half, that'd be a sort of easy way.
I didn't think Tom Brady was going to play past the second quarter.
Yeah, but,
so we don't know these things for sure, but this is I don't know that this is strong enough to get us to Sudfeld. This may have us rethinking Hurts as captain, which was where I was going into today when I wrote my article and all of that. I was ready to say first it was going to be Sanders. Obviously that didn't pan out. Then it was going to be Hurts, and I kept having to wait on more news, and more people kept getting ruled out. So now I'm on some weird combination of looking at Hurts as my flex play and somebody else's captain. So I'm not going to play cash lineups tonight just because there's too much uncertainty. And I'm also in a survivor pool here where there's 3 of us left, and I have Washington. Prize is just over $2,000. So hopefully, I don't know what they picked. This website we use is so old, I can't see what they picked until tomorrow morning. I think we're all landing on Washington, but I don't know that for sure. All right, so let us get back to the key information here. We've got so the takeaways we have from Hurts: he's completing 55% of his passes, very Carson Wentz-like. He's running the ball a lot. In his 3 starts, he has 38 carries for 238 yards and a touchdown. He's not creating a lot of PPR upside for anybody. And so you kind of like him as an alone guy. I said, if Ertz was my captain, boost Hurts 50%, but I didn't make him a lock because I don't know how long he's going to be in there. It just seemed a little bit crazy to make that a lock. So the Washington has the second best passing DVOA. So even if we get Nate Sudfeld, it's not party time. Washington's going to win. Philadelphia might as well just lose this game and keep everybody healthy. That's what the tea leaves are telling us. So they have allowed the opposing quarterback to get multiple touchdowns twice in their last 10 games. That means more than one, only twice in their last 10 games. It's a pretty good defense. They don't rack up the turnovers. They do well with the sacks and well with containing the opposition. So it's, as opposed to, like Kansas City or, some of the St. Louis greatest show on turf, those defenses were good because the other teams were trying to play catch up and they were getting fortuitous turnovers in gobs. This is not Washington's game plan. So, but it's also saying, even if you do want to go Sudfeld, I'm not seeing a Marcus Mariota-like outcome for him. No Miles Sanders, which we mentioned. So we've got Boston Scott. In the 6 games where Scott has played at least 35 snaps, he has topped 50 rushing yards 3 times, and he has topped 39 receiving yards 4 times. I went back and looked because I swore I remember a big game from him where we all had him. It was last year for week 16 or week 17. I think he had like maybe 120 combined yards, but he scored 3 rushing touchdowns. So I think that's what we're all kind of remembering. So these big games that we're expecting, they really aren't that big. A lot of them have come with just, 5 or 6 of the points coming on the passing points in full PPR. So even though he's there, I don't know that this is a slam dunk. Now we get to Corey Clement, who is going to be Boston Scott's backup. He's 200 on DraftKings. So there's another, I figure he'll get 5 or 6 touches / targets combined. But you know who's going to get the touchdown because we're finishing up 2020 with a bang?
Please no.
Jordan Howard.
I know.
He's back. Miami cut him. He came home. Mama, I'm coming home. So, yeah, went through the skill position players here. We got a guy who's probably only going to play a half. We have a backup running back in a tough situation who now has no other skill position players around him to take the attention off him. And then we've got running back by committee at that. What do we do? What do you want to do with these? Because I got some notes about the wide receivers that'll just make you want to run screaming and say, why are we playing this slate?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is possibly another reason that I'm leaning towards these Washington heavy lineups because, like, if for whatever reason, Boston Scott goes out and he's done this before where even if he doesn't get a ton of volume, he breaks a long one, like, yeah, you're probably going to need him, but are you going to need him plus Corey Clement plus Jalen Reagor? Given the spread, given the state of the skill positions, I don't think so. I don't think there's a clear, typically when I talk about, like say a 2-4 lineup, I'm talking about a player on a team or 2 players on a team, say a quarterback receiver combo, where we know that if, for instance, the Eagles get down, they're throwing Jalen Hurts to Dallas Goedert every single play. I would have been excited about that kind of lineup if it were available, but we don't have Dallas Goedert. Maybe you can make that argument for Zach Ertz because they have a first round, I don't want to say first round bust, a disappointing first round rookie so far in Jalen Reagor, no Alshon Jeffrey, no backup tight ends, and they're typically a team that throws a lot to tight ends. But I mean, outside of like that kind of vague argument, it just seems like there's so much ambiguity and it's taking small shares, or we assume small shares. Like, I don't know if Boston Scott's going to see all the work we saw a handful of weeks ago. Jordan Howard was out on the first, like he was a starter, essentially. He started with Miles Sanders, got the first drive, and I tilted out of my mind. They're sharing small pieces or, chunked up pieces of a pretty terrible pie already. So for that reason, I'm probably just looking to get the cheap guys, your Corey Clements, who typically I think we should expect maybe to spell Boston Scott or Boston Scott because his price is downright awful. I think he kind of falls into that range where you just say, like, what does he have to do to bust 1,400? 5 points, 4 points? If he gets 8 points and then Washington goes off, you're going to need all the good Washington players. So For me, it's a combination of a lot of Boston Scott and one other player. You could put Jalen Hurts in that group. I think he could still go out and play a half, and if he scores a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown, and price doesn't matter on this slate because, Corey Clement scores too. Sure, he can make the optimal lineup. Maybe you could run it with a Jalen Reagor or Zach Ertz. But I think because we're just getting such, small pieces of an ugly offense, I'm mostly limiting myself to playing Washington heavy lineups with like 2 at most of the Eagles. Scott is a good one. I think if you're in a large field tournament, Corey Clement goes out and scores one of the team's 2 touchdowns and Boston Scott doesn't get the other one, he's a good leverage play. Outside of that, I think maybe the receivers are one place you could look. We can move on to them. This is not a great team to target.
No, it really isn't. So here's the, well, what about the receivers? Okay, so we already said no Deshaun Jackson, no Alshon Jeffrey. So that means we have Greg Ward, university's own hybrid quarterback, wide receiver, running back, whatever they needed him to do in college. He has gotten some looks from Hurts. They haven't been much. I would say he's averaged 4 targets over his last 6 games. He did have, I think he had a 2 touchdown game or something insane like that. He has, but again, has not had more than 6 targets in any of his last 6 games. You've got Jalen Reagor. How many games this year do you think Jalen Reagor has double-digit fantasy points? Keeping in mind, I think he's played 12 games this year, or maybe it was 11 because he was hurt a little bit. 1. And it was a game, by the way, where he caught a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, and had 3 for 16. That was his double-digit game. Justin Jefferson, what could have been. Earlier, darling, Travis Fulgham was a golden god from weeks 5 through 8, but he has 9 targets in his last 5 games. And then Dallas Goedert's out. So all this to me says I like Zach Ertz. I know you have a couple thoughts on Zach Ertz, but he is the only pass catcher I'm even remotely interested in. I can probably talk myself into a little bit of Greg Ward, but that's really it. But there's no price discount for Greg Ward. It's just that literally Jalen Reagor has done nothing all season.
I mean, I'll throw you one other player who's done nothing all season, Zach Ertz. He's been legitimately
hurt a lot. It's a changing of the guard. Come on.
He's been so bad. He's been like one of the least efficient tight ends in the NFL in recent years. Like he's averaging, I think, like 4.5 or so yards per target. He's not even catching a ton of his passes though. This thing you say, well, oh, he's like Larry Fitzgerald. But when Larry Fitzgerald gets 9 targets, you're like, oh, he probably caught 8 of them and had like a good showdown slate. I think Larry Fitzgerald was like in the winning lineup of a showdown slate relatively recently. I don't even know if Zach Ertz has that in him. I think maybe because targets are targets. And as much as I think he's old, dusty, and he's been inefficient, it doesn't really matter if he's going to see 10 looks. So I get why you'd go there. I have maybe more interest than you. Maybe my flip of this is that we're still seeing the team high since Jalen Hurts took over in target share and in air yard share with Jalen Reagor. Just like Zach Ertz, he's done nothing with them. And it's even more disappointing because we kind of expect Reagor to actually do something. He's young, athletic, highly drafted prospect. It kind of makes sense for Zach Ertz to be on the tail end of his career. I'm going to generally lean back on the, on the air yards, on the target share with Jalen Reagor, although I do think his ownership is in the ballpark of efficient. Maybe even like our top stack still actually has him as like over-owned in the utility. So I think he's fine. Maybe I have a little bit of that like rookie excitement with him, but outside of that, it's another spot where I think chase the volume with Reagor, chase the volume with Ertz, move on mostly.
All right. So then we got the Philly defense. Yeah, you can play them. Washington doesn't give up a lot of sacks. They're adequate on taking care of the ball. And we know they're going to try to run and do short passes. So there's not, and plus Philly's missing like half of their offensive line and half of their defensive personnel or their key players anyway. Again, they just want to get out of this healthy. So not really excited about that. The kickers, it's going to be in the mid 30s, a little bit of wind, a little bit of drizzle, but that's like a 20 to 30% chance that happens throughout the game. So not great, but not particularly, well, it's a little miserable. I wouldn't want to be sitting outside there, but it doesn't seem to be detrimental. So now everybody's going to want to ask, well, great, guys, you've just told us that you hate pretty much everybody on the play, on the thing. What are we going to do? Because we want to still play. All right, that's a fair question. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So let's kind of do our player rankings. It's no longer Hurts number 1 for me, but I'm going to want him even a half of him amongst all of our other options, I think earns him a healthy share of our flex spot.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's still, even like you said, even if he plays a half, it's still because pricing, like if he was competing with a lot of players that I wanted to be playing in this game, say like Miles Sanders was healthy, say Miles Sanders was healthy, I would say, well, is assumedly a full game of Miles Sanders worth a half of Jalen Hurts? That'd be the kind of decision we have to make. There really isn't that kind of decision on the Philly side. So I think it's okay to bet on even just a half of Jalen Hurts if it fits your roster construction. I definitely wouldn't X him out. He does not, I think, really shuffle to the top of captain ownership for me, or at least for my personal ownership, specifically because I don't think the field's going to react to this news as much as they should. Like, I think his ownership comes down because of it. Not enough. I think he is just as risky of a play as a J.D. McKissic, Terry McLaurin level player, probably even more risky than Antonio Gibson, because if he doesn't go out and score that early touchdown or two, we might not see him again. So yeah, he probably falls far down captain rankings, less so down like flex rankings, if you wanted to put it that way.
All right. So knowing that, how do you think the field's going to react to that? Or are they just not going to get there in time?
Some of the field will. I just don't think it'll be enough of the field, or at least I don't think enough of the field will know. Maybe the field ends up being right in not adjusting, and Hurts goes out and rushes for 100 and a touchdown and a half. I'm sure he's capable of it. I do think though, like our top percentage ownership as our top single game plays tool has him as being owned still by 16% of the field. That feels like I'd probably rather play Terry McLaurin at, I'm going to guess, 8 to 10%. I still think he has, like I said, a ceiling outcome in his possible range, but at his ownership, I don't think enough people react. I think our projection is pretty spot on. Is what I'd guess, in that 12 to 15. I think he's closer to 8 to 10, probably. At least I think that would be efficient ownership. So I'm going to be pivoting. I probably would have had some Hurts. I'm going to be pivoting my Hurts down because I think I gain more equity by moving to Gibson, moving to McLaurin specifically. Even Alex Smith, though, I think makes some sense.
Okay. So who kind of is number two for you? So I'm looking at DraftKings. Number two for me is going to still be McKissic. I like him for the PPR upside. I think on FanDuel, I'm okay with actually, wait for it, going to Alex Smith, who would be about 4 for me on DraftKings. Now, again, you can get all these guys we're going to talk about, you can get most of them in your lineup. But this is where we're splitting hairs. And do you want them as the MVP, the captain? Do you want them in the flex, et cetera? So it kind of diverges a little bit there. I think it comes back together with Terry McLaurin. Now, the question is, how much do you want of him? How healthy do you think he is? Is he the first guy they rest? Because if they're up and winning, they're going to need him for next week. I think we figured out pre-show it was going to be Tampa Bay that likely faces the winner of this game, or if Washington loses, they face the New York Giants. So in this way, they're going to need everybody, especially McLaurin, to be able to take the top off the defense, because they're not going to be able to run like they want to against Tampa Bay. So what's your, I don't want to go over more than 30%. Where's the field currently at on him?
On McLaurin at flex?
Yes.
With field is at 35.5%. Our top 2 through 6 percentage on DraftKings specifically has him at about 28%. So the field may be a little aggressive on him, kind of basically efficient on him at captain. I agree. He probably falls in, now that we're seeing such good line movement, I think Gibson probably ends up being, if not your number 1, your number 2, I think, just because the risk with Hurts. It just depends on what kind of contest you're playing. I think actually we even have Gibson as ranked top ownership or top scoring probability ahead of Alex Smith. Very strong argument for him to be the number 1 player if you are worried about this Hurts stuff on DraftKings. On FanDuel, I do think there is just like such quarterback favored scoring that Alex Smith probably gets an edge there as the number 1 if you're just kind of setting Hurts to the side for now.
All right. After that, I get Ertz just because of salary savings, and I think the lone semi-effective pass catcher that they've got. And he's cheap. So he's the one that makes us be able to get 3 of the previously listed guys in whatever format, captain, MVP, however we want to. So he's kind of the key to unlocking it all. Where do you start to put in Boston Scott?
I think so. My only problem with Boston Scott is like playing him at captain. I don't think grants you some massive advantage. You can just play him in the flex and still get away with like, you can play him and Zach Ertz in the flex and basically just jam into good Washington players and he basically making one sacrifice of them. And I think it's not likely that every single one of them is in the optimal lineup. So I don't think you need to get to Scott as your captain play. He probably is going to be a lock button for me in the flex and the utility, but does that really give me any advantage by moving him up to captain? The salary isn't quite as useful. We don't typically see guys like he's going to be 2 or 3% owned at captain for a reason. It's because we don't actually know what his role is. And if his role is massive, he's getting at best a large share of a low implied team total. He probably needs, I mean, there's a good chance he needs 2 touchdowns to outscore Gibson and McLaurin and Smith, like to be the leading scorer on the slate. So in terms of captain, I don't know. So I'm going to put McLaurin, Gibson, Smith. I would still put Hurts over him. McKissick, he probably falls in that Logan Thomas tier where he has an upside potential and the savings, they help. It's not like I don't want the savings. It's just they're not, I think you get diminishing returns by the time you get down to whatever he is, 1,400 times 1.5x on DraftKings. So falls in that, let's call it 6 to 8 range.
All right. I'm just crunching lineups now, see what's coming up. Again, I'm not doing cash lineups tonight, guys. It's if I was playing it, I will actually give you, it would be this group of players. Boston Scott, Zach Ertz, Antonio Gibson, Alex Smith, Terry McLaurin, and Jalen Hurts is what comes up on Awesemo. I'd probably work in JD McKissick. So the version of that I like, you can actually put Alex Smith at captain. I'm sort of ambivalent at this point. Boston Scott, Zach Ertz, JD McKissick, Gibson, and Hurts. I kind of want to play both the running backs. I mentioned I want to play Hurts. So that would be kind of my quote main lineup, would be going with Alex Smith at captain, but it's just because it literally gives me every other person I want. You can also start the first name that I see is not in there that I want be the Washington defense. And I'd put the defense over the kickers tonight just from the weather and the lack of so many skill players.
Was there a good backup quarterback today? Like, I don't think we had Chris Streveler didn't put up points. John Wolford won, but didn't put up points. Brandon Allen,
you mean yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I'm just trying to think is there a good case scenario for any backup to come in and not get smoked?
No.
PJ Walsh came in and threw a touchdown.
I'm trying to think of the guy's name that played Matt Flynn. We had 5 touchdowns or whatever for Green Bay in a week 16 game or whatever, and then got signed by Seattle basically after that. And that was the year they took a little known quarterback who changed colleges and went for his 5th year named Russell Wilson in the 3rd round. So sorry, Matt Flynn. Hey, you know what we have? Let's check this out. Do we have them? So they're running contests tonight. They are not where I have projections for, but we got No House Advantage. I do want to talk about them. So they're a peer-to-peer betting site with prop betting. What does that mean? What's peer-to-peer? It's like every other gaming format we do. We're playing each other. We're not playing the house, hence the name No House Advantage. It's player props. They'll set up between 20 and 40 player props, depending on the size of the contest, the game we're doing, the format. You choose between 5 and 7 of them. You rank them with confidence points, and what you get right or wrong scores for you. And then that's how you compete against everybody else. Relatively simple. It's harder to explain, but the second you see it, you're like, oh, this is like when I do all my bowl pick'ems and I give confidence points to everybody. That's basically all it is. But you're choosing amongst 20 to 40 player props. Over under half an interception, over under 37 rushing yards for JD McKissick, over under Jalen Reagor, a catch and a half. Just seeing if Kyle's paying attention. I take the over on that one, but barely. I have to think about it.
Pull up our stat line. He's like, well, Alex is like, he gets 1.2 because he's bad.
Yes. So what we have there is a deal with them that if you come in and make your account, your first deposit, use the promo code Awesemo, you will get a $20 deposit match with them. Refer a friend. When they make their first deposit, you get another $5. So that's No House Advantage. They have a very elegant website, and they also have a nice app. So you can definitely check all of that stuff out. This is not like bowl contests. The confidence part is. All right. Let me see here. We also want to talk about, the best deals. We've got two sweet deals here. at Awesemo, where I see there's 900 of you watching the show right now. We got to say it, man. We've got these two promos that we're running. One is to help celebrate 2021. For $20, we're giving you 21 days of all access, full suite Awesemo Premium. So that's $20, gets you 3 full weeks, less than $1 a day. See how that works out? So that's if you use the promo code 2021 at checkout. That's everything. It's got the player projections, ownership projections, lineup builder, and more. You get Slack. You get all the sports that we're doing. Best deal that we've had in a while. And when all these sports ramp up again, these deals aren't going to be coming as frequent. We've got hockey starting here in 12 days or so. We've got NFL playoffs. We're going to have countless NFL Showdown slates and all of that fun stuff for the next month. So definitely want to get in on this deal now. So that'll get you through all of that fun. By then, hey, hopefully you've made a little extra something and you can become a regular subscriber. But this is your chance to get in for just $20. The other one is, if you already know how great we are, you can use the promo code HAPPY and you can sign up for a 1-year Awesemo full access subscription for 20% off. That deal not coming back until probably next January. Well, maybe if we get a huge milestone in between. Maybe if Alex binks a milli, we'll bring that one back. Point being, it's not going to happen for a while. So you want to take advantage of that now. So those are the two promo codes. You can go to the awesemo.com/promo is the landing page that has all the information. That's kind of our new login page for new subscribers. You can check everything out there. All right. So I'm running some percentages here. We've got 18 minutes. We got plenty of time. We'll want to take some questions and have some fun here. So let me get back to my main page. How many? I have made 40 lineups. I am now, is there any case to go for more than 3 Philadelphia Eagles? I'm seeing I've got about maybe a quarter of my lineup has 3, and usually 2 of them are Hurts and Ertz.
I mean, I don't know if you're playing in the largest contest, and I don't know, not a ton of reason. If you're playing in large contests, I think there won't be a lot of ownership on mega Philly stacks. And as we've seen, anything can happen. Like, the Cardinals are favored today, I assume, and they lost because Kyler Murray got hurt, of course. But the Jets have won football games despite never really seeming like a team that should be winning football games. The crazy things happen, and maybe crazy things happen with the Eagles here. I'm not doing it because I'm not playing in the largest contest, and I don't think I need to gain that much leverage over the field, and I don't think I need to be that unique. But if you think your tournament size does mandate that, yeah, go for it, man. Have a blast.
What is we got Allegro Noco? Oh, Allegro Noco. El Negro Loco, but the spoonerisms are coming out. That's like the third one I've done today where I've gotten things reversed there. Been a long day, big day, heavy sports, all that fun stuff. I think it disappeared. Do you have it still? The $2 one?
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't in.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's okay. Jordan's looking for it. Okay, so let me see if I can scroll up and find that. Nope. Rats. All right. Whoever had that last super chat that I missed, go ahead and type your question in again and star it and put it attention Jordan Klein, GPP winning producer that we have here.
I saw that. Yeah.
All right. Let me get back to my phone here because I'm just going to upload these so I can pay attention to everything coming in on the chat. So I'm going to quickly build. For those of you scoring along at home, what did I just tell you my main lineup was going to be? Because that's what I'm going to put in here. So I said my main lineup, which I think of as my best lineup, and usually it's what I play in cash, 3-mans, and all those. I'm not doing those tonight. I think I've signed up for like 5 of them, but I'm going with Alex Smith. I really want J.D. McKissick, though. I'm going with Alex Smith, Boston Scott, Zach Ertz, J.D. McKissick, but he's not in my captain spot. I'm going with Gibson, and then I'm going with McLaurin. So I'm getting like everything that I want. It's an onslaught. All right. And I see nothing that could go wrong with that except everything. But that's why we play the games. And let's put in Ertz, Boston Scott, McKissick. Who am I missing? Oh, McKissick. There we go. All right. Upload that and we're all set to go. Okay. So who are you terrified of having misread that's just going to come back to haunt you? What sort of play is it? I mean, I guess it would be, I can't even think of one because we're going to have enough Jalen Hurts that even if he plays the whole game, it'd have to be a barn burner. And okay, so that's really not going to make me mad because I'll have a bunch of him in the flex because we already broke down why that's a good idea. I think me not trusting Terry McLaurin enough is the one that scares me the most.
I think mine, you could argue it should be Hurts at captain because if he does say the reports are just wrong. Like we got the Carson Wentz reports that Carson Wentz 5 weeks ago now or whatever, I think 5 weeks ago was supposed to be giving up a significant amount of snaps to Hurts, and Hurts played like 5 snaps. And that report was just, at least the way it was worded, was misleading, if not just downright wrong. That could be the case today. And if that is the case, Hurts would end up being lower owned than he should be. Because if we got a full 4 frames of Hurts, he would be rightfully so easily the best captain play, just given his odds of leading the slate in scoring. Just that we don't think he's going to play the full 4 quarters. So if he does, I'm definitely not banking anything, let alone, I might not even make money. So I have enough of him at flex that I'm not like dreadfully concerned. I think my biggest concern is missing out on which one of the Eagles players ends up being the best value. Like, I think there are good arguments for obviously the top players, your Greg Ward, Zach Ertz, Jalen Reagor, but even down to like a Quez Watkins, Jordan Howard, like these guys, if they go out and score 1 long touchdown, they'll be the Boston Scott leverage potentially if Boston Scott doesn't score a touchdown. So I think that's probably the hardest place to predict. So that's obviously why I'm afraid of it. But I do have exposure to Jordan Howard, to Corey Clement. And maybe the place I'm missing out on the most is like a potential Quez Watkins. He was a big air yards guy, like especially when Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson were out. He was, I mean, maybe this is why we talk about Jalen Reagor not being that good. It's because no one was converting on their air yards on this team. Carson Wentz will do that to you the way he was playing this season. But he was like at times getting over 100 air yards in single games. If he converts on 2 of those, Quez Watkins is interesting. He's a guy I could be afraid of. I was reading the chat too.
I have him, Jordan. Jordan said the super chat was for the AirPods. Hey, here you go. Brand new pair, still in the box. You know what? This is my second one. My wife got tired of looking at the other one on my desk and she took it and was using it. So she said if I don't use these, she's now going to have 2 pairs of AirPods. I don't know how to set them up. Okay, there we go. All right, now chat, you can have a lot of fun at my expense. This is the last set of headphones I have that still works in my Blue Yeti, so because everything's a different input now. Pretty much.
I don't know if Jordan, can the chat hear you? Well, I will translate that because I think it's funny. Jordan said those are like the headsets they give you on airlines. Just like, take these, please don't bother us. Not the AirPods, whatever you're using right now, Emac.
All right. So our man Brad, he's one of my more ardent supporters. He says, I think the old school headphones are a perfect fit for you.
That's not wrong. Yeah, it'd be weird if you came in here like Rappaport or like Mike Ruffalo, those guys like on NFL Morning or whatever it's called, always are like taking 2 phones, a call in each AirPod. And it'd be weird if you came in looking that high tech.
Yeah. All right, let's go. So, here's a good one from DFS Fish. Just a statement. It says, McLaurin's had 13 red zone targets all year. No touchdowns from Smith. It's cold, rainy on a team that doesn't want to throw. Play Gibson at captain, and then go Hurts, Scott, McKissick, Thomas, and the Washington defense. I think that's a viable way to go as well.
I probably have some.
Yeah, there's basically like 8 guys for the 6 spots, and you can just kind of Rubik's Cube your way into whichever one suits you best. For your style on that one. Okay, so go ahead and fire up the questions here. We got 10 more minutes here. I got my lineups up and we're good to go there. But a reminder, those 2 promo codes, so you can come in here and harass me in Slack. It'll be a lot of fun for you, I guarantee it. But you get promo code 20 21 gets you for $20, 21 days of Awesemo All Access Premium, the full kit and caboodle. And then if you want to get the full annual premium subscription for 1 year at 20% off, the promo code is HAPPY. How many kickers am I rolling with in the cash game? None tonight. My initial build was built around Sanders and both kickers, but that obviously changed, and I don't think the weather's great. But what I can tell you is I would have had to get to my 11th lineup before a kicker got into it. But let me change to this crunch. Of the crunches I made, I am playing 20% Dustin Hopkins, 4% Elliott. I have 3% of each of them at captain. So they're sort of my hedge. If they have an amazing game, there we go. Or if it's all field goals, like a 15-6 game or something odd like that. I've got 20% of the Washington defense, 5% at captain, no Eagles defense. I went with Zach Ertz, 56%, Logan Thomas, 35%. These are all in the field. I'll tell you my captain ownerships when we get there. McLaurin, I said I wasn't a fan. I capped him at 30. Looks like we're coming in at about 35% for the field, so I'm not super under him. But normally that'd be a guy I want to go over on, but I'm a little worried about how effective he's going to be. 30% Ward, 30% Cam Sims, 15% Fulgham, 2% Steve Sims. No relation, Cam and Steve, that is. Antonio Gibson, 50%, Boston Scott, 50%, JD McKissick, 50%, 2% Jordan Howard, Alex Smith, 60%, Jalen Hurts, 50%. So my captains, I let everybody kind of be captain almost one time. I've got one Corey Clement, one Quez Watkins. I don't even know who Isaiah Wright is, but he's a captain. Jordan Howard, Steve Sims. My only Eagle defense is at captain. I am not playing Jalen Reagor in any form or fashion tonight. I need to go make a Jalen Reagor lineup right now because that will be the pain and suffering that terrifies me. So there we are on that one. Who would we say is the highest floor player?
I mean, it's got to be Alex Smith, right?
It's Alex Smith on FanDuel. On DK, I'm still going to say you could fight. I wouldn't want to fight anybody over it, but I think it becomes Logan Thomas, JD McKissick, and Alex Smith. Touchdowns aren't quite weighted as heavy, and those guys could out PPR him if they got 6 or 7 catches, right? That's just the only way I see that one going south.
I mean, the highest floor per dollar is Boston Scott. Like, if you want to adjust it based on what you have to pay to get your floor, Boston Scott, we have projected as like one of the best values over $1,000 all year, I'd imagine. Like, you just don't get this kind of value because when Miles Sanders is out, we project him to be not the entirety of Miles Sanders, but enough of Miles Sanders, especially with his pass catching role, that on a floor points per dollar basis, Boston Scott plus the the PPR Alex Smith type of options is like the highest floor overall lineup construction.
All right, where's Corey Clement? So Jalen Reagor, Jalen Hurts, Corey Clement, McLaurin, Smith, and Gibson. That's my YOLO lineup in the $1 single entry. So at least I have one lineup with McLaurin. Who's got the higher captain floor, McKissick or Gibson? Captain, I would say it is McKissick. MVP, which is FanDuel, I would say is Gibson. Gibson. So McKissick on the full PPR, Gibson on the other side. I think he has more touchdown equity.
I think my only concern with McKissick is that this doesn't set up like a traditional McKissick spot. Although I do think that's not as big of a deal. I think McKissick is such a part of this offense that if they're going to get up to a touchdown lead pretty early, which is like what the spread is at right now, just shy of a touchdown, probably still means he was involved on individual drives, maybe not to the extent when they're down 15 that he would be involved. So I don't think it's like a completely he'll get game scripted out. I do think though that I don't want to say drastically, but it does seem to reduce his floor a pretty significant amount. If they just get out of here with a pretty ugly win, Sudfeld comes in before halftime, that's a scenario where McKissick hardly sees the ball much in the second half. I think that's my big concern with him. So I would say probably for me, Gibson on both sides. I think McKissick is not a bad floor play because even if he doesn't see a ton of targets, his catch rate on them is going to be projected to be extremely high because they're easy catchable targets. But if he just only sees 5 or 6, that's a problem. So
Yeah.
I'm a little more concerned with your Logan Thomases and McKissicks than I think you are. But because I'm playing a ton of Washington, that kind of hasn't manifested in my lineups quite as much as you might think.
That makes sense. So I'm going to drop the linked chat or the linked tweet, the pinned tweet, the link to it. Look at that. I guess everything's backwards today. It's 2021 not starting off well. Come on. We gotta shake loose 2020. So go to that link that I just dropped in there. It's under the Awesemo DFS handle, but it's the Twitter one. That'll take you to the contest. You got 5 more minutes to answer that one. The question is, who will throw more passing yards, Hurts or Alex Smith? And if you get that right, you'll be put in a drawing. 2 lucky people will be selected to win 30 free days of Awesemo premium content. We had another Fred Van Elite winner. Follow me at Emac DFS to know when I'm posting those. It's going to be for every Toronto game. I finished 97th out of 100. No bueno. The contest before, I finished 3rd out of 100. Talk about the symmetry there of me getting things backwards. So yeah, sometimes that's going to happen. Fade. Did you miss the head-to-head tonight? No, I didn't. I just didn't put them out. I'm rooting for Washington. I'm in that survivor pool. Top prize is 2,000. There's 3 of us left. So I have a feeling, I don't know what the other guys picked, but I have a feeling at least one of them will make it. So we'll go on into the playoffs for it. But I would like to be one of the people that go in there. And I think there's a chance that they both picked Washington. But we'll have to see. I was trying to back my way into it earlier today, but it was taking too long. So it's an old website that I can't, it's like the first time we used this website was when the Houston Texans got upset upset the Dallas Cowboys in their inaugural game, knocked out half of survivors pools that year. That was the first time I'd ever done a survivor pool. I was sending, my check hadn't even gone out in the mail when my pick lost. That's how long we've had that website. All right. NBA DFS is going to be lit this year. I'm lighting money on fire. If that's any indication of I'm lighting the way for other people, that's lit. Let's see. Jordan, cue the music. We got 3 minutes. Come on, Paho Jenks. Cut the crap. Tell us what music you want to hear. Come on. We gave you the best plays. Tell us which one. You want a little holiday beats? You want some dubstep? What would you like to hear? Gibson or McKissick, an age-old question. It's going to be site dependent. FanDuel would be Gibson. For me, DK would be McKissick. Hurts.
All the Gibson for me. I think that's where I'm rolling tonight. We actually have both of them as advantages, though. Even if so on FanDuel, which actually surprising, it doesn't favor McKissick a ton. The top scoring probability is it's north of 14% for Gibson. Field doesn't look to be owning him as much. It's actually a bigger advantage in McKissick. Both of them are seemingly guys the field are not going to appreciate enough. Pretty big advantage too, over about 2.5% advantage of our chances that McKissick leads the slate in scoring versus the field perception, I guess, of his odds of leading the slate in scoring in McKissick. So, I mean, for me, it's Gibson, but I think the answer almost arguably is like both.
Yes, that you can most definitely play both. Do hit that like button as you guys are cruising on out of here. We've got all sorts of content coming up tomorrow. Schedule's going to be tweaked just a little bit because we aren't going to have all those regular season games to break down, but we're going to be going full swing into NBA. Nonetheless, for next week, we have Saturday and Sunday, 3 games each day. We'll do the night show live before lock, and then we'll also do 2 hours of live before lock before the first game on Saturday and the first game on Sunday. So 2 hours to cover 3 games. I think we got you guys there. We'll start dropping NFL shows and analysis on Thursday. Again, because we're just breaking down the 6 sites. It will be interesting to see how many of the sites pick up all the full 2-day slates as one. I hope they do. Sometimes they don't do that. At least they didn't back when it was 2 games on each day. Fingers crossed that they do. It makes for just a little bit more fun on that one. But at 10 a.m. tomorrow, you're going to get Adam Kaufman and Greg doing the NBA strategy show. So that will be the first time those guys have been paired up on our side. And then you get PGA first look. You got Ben and Jason and Jeff coming in. Wow, PGA already back for the swing season. That was bare. It was just a hot minute ago that they went on their little hiatus. And then at 6, you get the deep dive. Pardon me, at 5, you get the deep dive. And at 6, you get live before lock, taking you down the home stretch for all the monies. With that, gamers, you can follow us at Awesemo_COM. You can follow Kyle over at Kyle Tweets here. And then you can follow me at Emac DFS. With that, gamers, good luck.